866.
Saudi Arabia's refining capacity rose 13.7% in 2021, one of the biggest increases among its peers, as the world's largest exporter of crude continues to expand its downstream capabilities, according to the latest OPEC Annual Statistical Bulletin. The OPEC Plus country added 400,000 barrels a day of refining capacity in 2021, raising its overall capacity to refine crude to 3.327 million barrels a day. The increase was largely due to the addition of that Jazan refinery, 400,000 barrels a day, in the country's Red Sea facing western coast.
Yeah, we talked a bit about oil earlier and how production, there isn't a lot of space to really expand production, but what is really needed now is refining capabilities, not just in Saudi Arabia, but around the world. So this is good, and this is definitely an eye forward for the kingdom. Meanwhile, it was reported this week that Saudi Arabia is importing some oil products from Egypt, as it always does. And Richard, you mentioned this earlier, during the summer sort of power surge. And a lot of that refined oil is coming from Russia, or is at least suspected of coming from Russia. But they don't have an embargo against Russia right now, of course. So very good for Saudi to be investing in this space and to see refining capacity rise last year.
Yeah. That fuel oil, they're also importing it from Estonia, and that's Aramco trading, and actually they make a good business, and that's smart. That's where discounted oil is. If you can import it. So they're bringing it in, like you say. It's not all Russian oil, but Egypt. But you're right, it's significant amounts. And as we mentioned in your one big thing, crude production doesn't seem to be the problem. Refining seems to be the problem. And, global refining capacity is somewhere around 82, 83 million barrels a day. And, over 3 million barrels a day of refining capacity was lost at the pandemic. So at the start of 2020, and not all of it has come back. Significant, amounts of that have not come back. Saudi Arabia is not going to make a dent in that right now. I mean, Saudi Arabia wants to get to 8 to 10 million barrels a day by 2030 in terms of refining capacity. That would be significant, and that would include projects in China and India. But yes, refining capacity is the issue right now, and Saudi Arabia is expanding its own. Doesn't really help the global right now, but it's making progress at home.